Yo, it's your homeboy Kiiro in the building. Welcome to episode 112 of One Piece Gist. In this episode, we talk about the bias um, that Luffy has in his favor in arguments. That's basically what it is. The bias towards Luffy in the YouTube anime community. Before we continue, a quick announcement. Next episode, episode 113, I will sort of finalize the Shanks versus Dragon argument. So remember to visit episode 103 to see all the details involved with the whole competition and all that kind of stuff. And the best comments, once again, will be featured in the video as sort of, talking points and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, Shanks versus Dragon. Who do you think is stronger? This is purely based on speculation. We don't know that much of either character, but if you have any supporting points as to why you think one is stronger than the other, be sure to include it because if it is a tie or if the results are close, the character who has better arguments in his favor, from the comment section will win. That character will be victorious. So even if your character wins by 1 or 2 votes, they can still lose if the other character has a more compelling argument in the comment section. Anyways, back to the topic at hand: bias towards Luffy in the anime community. So this video is basically using emotions versus using logic and reasoning in arguments. Luffy is just a good example of this. So originally this was supposed to be a Doflamingo versus Luffy video, as I think I explained. I was going to explain why Doflamingo beats Luffy, and assuming Luffy does beat him 1 versus 1, how Luffy would beat him and what Luffy has going for him that can make him defeat Doflamingo. Solid things, solid points, and not just because he's Luffy, he's gonna beat him because he's Luffy. That stuff kind of pisses me off, and I realized as I was making the video that I have to address this because people need to know that in the comment section they're gonna bump into people like this, and they should ignore these people. And as I was doing this, I realized this is gonna take more than 2 minutes to talk about this. I might as well make it its own video. So here we are. Now, I've done 2 polls on Facebook. Well, one wasn't a direct poll where people could vote. One was just a question, and I got responses. And the question was, well, basically, I said some people actually think that Luffy was as strong as Crocodile in the Alabasta arc. Praise be to God, some people in the comment section, defended Crocodile and said, he was clearly stronger than Luffy. However, there were still people who said, how could Luffy be weaker than Crocodile? No, how could Luffy not be stronger than Crocodile when he beat him? You see, and this is basically the type of thing I'm talking about. Because I'm pretty sure these people aren't that stupid. They just choose to ignore the facts and the logic just to sort of, put Luffy on this imaginary pedestal, or to fulfill what kind of weird ass Luffy fetish they have, where he's basically a Superman or whatever. But yeah, in case you didn't know, the reason why Luffy beat characters who were clearly stronger than him, such as Crocodile and Enel, was because there were factors involved outside of just character strength. So Enel's case is a very good one. Enel's devil fruit didn't work against Luffy. Enel had to resort to other things, such as using a trident. He was basically a thug with a trident against Luffy because his devil fruit didn't do jack shit against him. And Luffy's gonna beat a thug with a trident. It's that simple. So Luffy took away a vast majority of this character's power, so he's definitely no longer as strong as he was initially. But this doesn't mean that Luffy is stronger than Enel in the Skypiea arc. There are a lot of characters that Enel's gonna beat. Enel from the Skypiea arc would have beaten that Luffy could not beat. Wiper is a good example. Wiper was putting in work against Luffy, Zoro, and Sanji, and I would not be surprised if he mopped the floor with Luffy at that point, at the climax of the Skypiea arc, with the Sea Stone, obviously. Without the Sea Stone, not so much. And the same thing applies to Crocodile. Luffy, the water nullified Crocodile's devil fruit, to a very strong extent. He was no longer Logia. Luffy had artificial haki against him, and he really couldn't use his sand against Luffy when he was wet. So, in the same vein, Luffy is gonna beat a thug with a hook. You know what I'm saying? These are not characters rocking Rokushiki. These are just basically thugs. A thug with a hook versus Luffy. A thug with a trident versus, a dude who has Gatling guns and shit like that. Because Luffy still has all his rubber abilities, whereas these two characters have basically lost almost all of their devil fruit powers. At least, the devil fruit powers became negligible. They became irrelevant. And this is why Luffy couldn't beat characters stronger than him in future, because he didn't have these sort of gimmicks. You can't pour water on Kizaru and beat the shit out of him. He's just gonna have his hands in his pocket and kick you at the speed of light. You can't pour water on Kuma. He's gonna slap it back at you, and then he's gonna slap the stupidity out of you. And pour water on Akainu, and he's gonna put a magma fist through your chest. And that's why Luffy has that hot steamy L scarred across his chest to remind people that Luffy is not infallible. He is not Superman. This is not Superman the series. This is One Piece. And Oda is not a moron, and he's not that kind of mangaka to just give Luffy imaginary power-ups just to suit him, just to squeeze out a victory and shit like that. And this is one thing I like about One Piece is the power levels are consistent. You know what I'm saying? And people say we haven't seen the best out of Luffy. We haven't seen him go all out. That is true. That is very true. However, they still can't answer my question as to how he would beat Doflamingo. But they say he's going to beat him regardless. And again, I really want to save this stuff, most of this, for the whole Doflamingo versus Luffy argument. So I'll just skip this shit and I'll get to the next thing. So I think I mentioned this earlier in the video. But basically, I did 2 polls. The first one wasn't a proper poll, it was just a direct question, and then I had responses in the comment section. The second one was a proper poll where you could vote, and I basically asked Zoro and Sanji together, right? They're serious, and they're fighting Luffy, right? So Luffy versus both Zoro and Sanji, who's gonna win? 2 people said it would be a draw. 11 people said Luffy was going to mop the floor. Okay, they didn't say that. They just said that Luffy would beat both Zoro and Sanji. And, 16 people had the common sense, or at least they weren't biased enough to vote for Luffy to beat both Sanji and Zoro together. And again, another case of bias. Now, there is, one thing to be considered. Some people, they injected humor into the argument. They were basically saying, Sanji and Zoro aren't going to cooperate. But the thing is, I think most people got my point, or the point of my questioning, assuming they were serious, because I did include deathmatch in the title, to show that this is a serious fight, or at least in the question, sorry. But anyways, I think I've gone on this long enough. It's quite a long video by my standards, and I do apologize. But in any case, I'm going to wrap things up. Basically, use logic and reasoning when when you have these kind of debates and discussions. If you bump into somebody who doesn't use them, go ahead. At least what I do is I give them a fair try. I try and use logic and reasoning, because if you're facing somebody who isn't using logic and reasoning, you can generally sort of point that out by presenting strong counter arguments, or just simply asking them the right questions, and they become stumped because they can answer those questions honestly, because they know the answer, and they know that they don't have an answer for the question that you're giving them, or an answer that they would like. And some people are gonna keep beating around the bush and shit like that, and those kind of people, you really want to ignore them. But as somebody who does YouTube videos and stuff like that, I give most people a fair chance and ask them at least a few questions and all that kind of shit before deciding, okay, this dude is unreasonable, cannot be reasoned with, I'll just ignore this dude and move on to the next person. But anyways, maybe I have to look at things from both sides. So maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe Luffy is in fact the strongest character in the series. Maybe I'm really sleeping on him. Maybe he can't beat every character in the series. I don't know. But whatever. I just felt that this needed to be presented, because this is my opinion. I really think that there is a strong bias in Luffy's favor. I mean, in both cases, the Crocodile case, the NL case, and even just to have the audacity to say that Luffy is stronger than both Zoro and Sanji combined, that speaks volumes towards this whole thing. Just barely over 50% of the people who voted in favor of Zoro and Sanji. Everybody else basically said, fuck it, they don't stand a chance. But whatever. Sorry, I was supposed to wrap this up, but this has been surprisingly difficult. Anyways, don't forget, once again, Shanks vs. Dragon. Check out One Piece Gist episode 103 if you want to leave your vote or your comment. Thank you for chilling all the way to the end. Like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. And as always, thank you guys for watching.